morning, ladies and gentlemen. If I can just have your attention for a few moments, please. You are welcome to take photographs and video in the chamber today. However, we request you not to use any flash. Secondly, for those people that are joining the proceedings via by virtual platform on Teams, to focus on the presentation, please right-click on the screen with the presentation in and select Fit to Frame. That will then center the presentation on the screen. Thank you very much.
Listen. That's for the virtual.
The Speaker, the Premier.
Good morning, honourable members, honourable guests. Before we start the proceedings, I will allow for the rendering of the national anthem. Ms. Mawoti, that will be rendering this, the national anthem, has been an ICU enrolled nurse at Groote Hospital since 2012. And as you are no doubt aware, that Groote Hospital this year celebrated its 85th anniversary. Members and guests, I request that you remain silent during the rendering of the national anthem. And Ms. Mawoti, I warmly welcome you to the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just, and will promote the interests of our people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat U gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat U ons sal help om al ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan U op te dra. Sikelela ilezo letu na bantu balo, umisele ukulungo kwipondo letu, mkosi sikelele I Afrika, kina abantwana bayo, kokela inkokeli zayo, yaniki ukolo I Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. You may be seated. Honourable members, I have to announce that due to the resignation of Mr. M. Ngasela, a vacancy occurred in the representation of the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. This vacancy has since been filled by the nomination of Mr. G. Pretorius with effect from the 15th of December 2022, and due to the resignation of Mr. M. Kwego and Ms. M. N. Makamba Botia, 2 vacancies occurred in the representation of the EFF. These vacancies have since been filled by the nomination of Mr. T. Klaas and Ms. A. Kasim with effect from the 3rd of February 2023, and that the members have taken the oath in the Speaker's office. I want to take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed guests and honourable members to this very important day. But before we get to the business of the day, allow me to highlight some of the important housekeeping rules for the sitting. The quorum requirements for the sitting of the House are provided for in the Constitution and the standing rules of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. Members who are considered out of order by the presiding officer will have their microphones muted and called to order. The Sergeant at Arms will record members' attendance, and today's sitting shall be governed by the standing rules, and in an instance where the rules cannot be applied, the ruling by the presiding officer is final. Members should note that all microphones are muted. When a member wishes to raise on a point of order, such an honourable member may address the presiding officer as expected, but must mute their microphones when they have completed speaking. Honourable members are requested to please ensure that their microphones are unmuted when the presiding officer recognizes them, and when they are done speaking, to please mute their microphones. The media and members of the public have also been granted access via the MS Teams as guests of the WCPP. However, members of the press or public may not use the chat room or speak or activate their cameras switched on whilst the sitting is in progress. If an individual who is not a member of this House activates their microphone and video camera, such an individual will be removed from the sitting immediately. I also request that all members and guests here today will respect the decorum of the House. For the sitting, language translation services are available in the chamber as usual and on Microsoft Teams via the respective channels. Honourable members, I would wish to remind you that no interjections are permitted during the sitting, and to this end, I draw the honourable members' attention to Rule 40 of our standing rules. Honourable members, I have to announce that in terms of Rule 14 of the standing rules today, 16 February 2023 at 10:45 a.m. has been determined as the date and time for the Premier's State of the Province address. This sitting is meant specifically for the purpose of affording the Premier an opportunity to deliver the State of the Province address. On this occasion, no business other than the address by the Premier will be entertained. I also wish to remind members that the debate on the address will take place tomorrow, 17 February 2023, where members will have an opportunity to fully engage and debate the Premier's address, and the Premier will then have an opportunity to reply to the debate thereafter. Once again, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed guests to the State of the Province. Honourable members, I now afford the Honourable Premier an opportunity to address the House. Can you please rise when you're...
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, the point of order that I would like to raise are twofold. Firstly, I think it's only correct that we as members once again congratulate you as the Speaker. This is your first State of the Province address, and we would also like to make an appeal that, unlike in the National Assembly where members of the EFF raised frivolous objections to stop and delay the President speaking, that we trust that no frivolous objections will be allowed to delay the Premier. As much as we might disagree with him, we want to listen to him and we want to give him the respect and apply tomorrow. So we would like to support you, Speaker, and appeal to these new members of the EFF who have just arrived to not come with any frivolous points of order.
Point of order, Speaker.
Honourable members, can I please call you to order? Honourable members, there's a member on the floor. Honourable Dagmore, thank you very much for the well wishes, but that is not a point of order. I see the Honourable Klaas. Is that a point of order?
Yeah, it's a point of order. This parliament,
Honourable members, there's a member on the floor. Can I please, honourable members?
You are not allowed to tell
Honourable
me
Maran,
what to say. You are not allowed to tell me. Only Speaker must talk to me.
Honourable Klaas, Honourable Klaas. Members, can I please ask that you respect the decorum of the House? We have members in the gallery. We have citizens of this province wanting to hear the Premier's state of the province. Can I please ask that you, Honourable Klaas, when I address the House, can I please ask you to take your seat? Honourable members, can I please ask that you allow the Premier to deliver his state of the province in the interests of the citizens that we are elected to serve. Honourable members, I'm now going to allow the Premier an opportunity to deliver his state of the province. Honourable Premier, I see you.
Honourable Speaker, and perhaps also allow me to congratulate you on your position as elected last year, my first opportunity in this House. Honourable members of my Cabinet, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, and I see we have another Honourable Leader of the National House Opposition, welcome. To the members of this House, welcome. And specifically, we have new members elected to this House. I want to say to you, welcome to this House. I want to say to the special guests that are gathered here, from our international colleagues, to business colleagues, to mayors, it is really nice to see you here in our Parliament. Most important, I want to say to the citizens of the Western Cape, I actually address you today. It is my honour to present to you the 2023 State of the Province Address. Speaker, it's actually good to be back in this Parliament. A year ago, we were still in the grips of COVID-19. Remember, we were still dealing with red lists, new Omicron variants, and all that went with fighting this pandemic. It really has been a tough year of recovery since then. So many of us lost loved ones, so many of us lost jobs, businesses, and livelihoods. In our own caucus, Speaker, we sadly lost our Chief Whip, Lorraine Botha. May her soul rest in peace. Speaker, also in the last year, the imperialist and colonizing Russia invaded the Ukraine. This illegal, senseless war led to a massive loss of life and has driven an energy crisis in Europe and massive food inflation, even here on the other side of the world.
Honourable Premier, please take your seat. Honourable members, can I please ask that you will have an opportunity tomorrow to debate the Premier's state of the province. Can I please ask that you allow the Premier to deliver his state of the province, like you will have tomorrow, honourable members, the protection of this House, allow the Premier as a member of this House to deliver his state of the province. I see the Honourable Deputy Chief Whip of the ANC.
Honourable
members, please, there's a member on the floor.
Honourable Honourable Speaker, with due respect, and we do respect the protocol that we do want to listen to the Premier and we hear the Premier, but no.
Speak to the chair, Honourable.
Interjections and heckling is allowed in a sitting. Heckling is allowed. The last time I read the rules, there was nothing saying that you cannot heckle. So heckling is allowed, but not to the extent that we drown out the voice of the Premier. So we will not be doing that, but we can listen to the Premier. And I don't need to cite a rule when there's no rule.
Honourable
that
members,
exists
there's a
from the
member
beginning, what
on
I'm
the
saying.
floor.
So Member Bosman must just keep
Honourable
quiet,
members,
please.
Heckling is allowed, but you cannot drown out the speaker. The minute the speaker cannot be heard, then you are drowning out the speaker. Honourable Bakabaka-Force, is that a point of order?
Thank you, Speaker. But Speaker, you just said the public does not have to speak. He just spoke and is interjecting. You want us to start? Because we'll follow the suit if he wants that.
All right. Thank you, honourable members. Can I please
He's
just
not
use...
the member of this house. He is not the member.
Honourable members, Honourable Bakabaka-Force, can you please take your seat? Members. Honourable members, can I please ask that you allow the proceedings to continue and that you respect the decorum of the House? Can I please appeal to the members in the gallery and the guests to not participate in the proceedings of the House? Honourable Bakabaka-Force, can I please ask that you rise when you address the chair, and I have noted your concern and I have addressed it. I now see the Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, allow me to also reflect on the terrible earthquake that took place last week in Turkey and Syria. We send our condolences to all the people of the region. Exactly as I said, Turkey. Speaker, in 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action." Speaker, I feel that fierce urgency of now every time I speak to a citizen, a small business owner, or a public servant. We are in desperate need of urgent action today for tomorrow. As the government of the Western Cape, we are delivering a clear difference for our residents now. Not confusion and platitudes, but recognizable, tangible action. I'm proud to be the Premier of this province. Despite what we are all going through, everywhere I go, I see people taking action, citizens stepping up, entrepreneurs finding growth opportunities, and volunteering. I see volunteers looking after those that are less fortunate in our province. Everybody is hustling. Those of you that drove here today would have noticed that even the traffic is back. And as a government, we recognize our important role in creating an environment where we all can thrive and take action. That is why I am gripped with the fierce urgency of now. Not only for this province, but for all of South Africa. Speaker, in this province, we must continue to work hard in showcasing the difference between good governance and failure. We are the Cape of Good Hope, the Cape of Opportunity, South Africa's only hope for a better future. Speaker, this starts with how we are approaching the energy crisis.
Honourable members.
Which, Speaker, is
Premier, can I please ask you to take your seat? I see the Chief Whip of the Majority Party. Honourable members, there's a member on the floor.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I do draw your attention to Rule 40 in terms of a member may not be interrupted. Can you please rule? Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chief Whip. Honourable members, honourable members, as I indicated earlier in a previous ruling, interjections are allowed, but you are not to drown out the Speaker on the floor. You will have an opportunity tomorrow to debate or reply to the Premier's State of the Province. Can I please ask that you allow the Premier to deliver his State of the Province in the interest of the citizens of this province? Thank you. Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I'll say again, this starts with how we are approaching the energy crisis, which is in stark contrast to the national government's approach. The national government started tackling load shedding in 2008, 5,500 days ago. As I said in the National Assembly earlier this week, 3,000 days ago, the President was appointed to solve this problem, to head up the war room. And I heard the honourable member there say not 1 megawatt. Well, that's exactly true. The President has not delivered 1 more megawatt. Not one more. In actual fact, we have less megawatts in the system today than we had 3,000 days ago. What we've also, Speaker, what we have also now got is 3 ministers who is responsible to get us out of this crisis. But not only 3 ministers, the disaster has taken those 3 ministers and put another super minister in charge over and above them.
But you support the disaster.
Speaker, we also have a crisis committee. But unfortunately, the crisis committee has not got a clear plan on the table. In the plan, they say we are going to put up to 8,000 megawatts into the system this year. There is no clear data showing those 8,000 megawatts. In actual fact, if you interrogate those 8,000 megawatts, Speaker.
Honourable Premier, I'm really sorry to do this. Please take your seat. Honourable members, can I please again urge you to please allow the Premier to deliver his State of the Province. You will have an... No, I'm not asking you to be silent. Okay. Honourable Syed, if you want to address the Chair, can you please rise? Honourable Deputy Chief Whip.
Honourable Speaker, could you then please encourage the Premier to deliver the SOPA? We are here for the SOPA. He had his opportunity to reply to Sona on Tuesday, where he didn't speak about the Western Cape, by the way. So let him please speak to SOPA today, please. Thank you.
Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, that is not a point of order. I cannot, from the Chair, determine the content of a speech. Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Speaker. I will remember that tomorrow when the Honourable Saeed is addressing this House. Speaker, we also now have a state of disaster. And I heard that jibe about the state of disaster, and we did ask for it. A ring-fenced state of disaster that made it for electricity only. We now have a broad state of disaster. And you know, the citizens of this country, when they hear the word disaster or a state of disaster, they think of rampant looting. I think, is this an election funding tool? Is this an election funding tool brought to you by the ruling party? What we also see is increasing political centralization.
Honourable Premier, my apologies to do this again. I see the Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, can you please again rule in terms of Rule 40? I believe that this is causing an interruption, and also in terms of Rule 39, no loud conversion is allowed. Thank you, Speaker.
All right. Members, there was a member on the floor that rose on a point of order. I've repeatedly asked that you please allow the Premier to deliver his State of the Province address. Interjections are allowed, but you are drowning out the Speaker, and this is on both sides of the House. Can I please ask, in the interest of the citizens of this province again, that you please adhere to the rules and the decorum of the House? Honourable Barnes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, earlier Member Bakufos raised the point of order.
if there are going to be one-sided rules, it cannot happen here today, because now the Chief Whip is rising and saying you must make a ruling. I'm asking for consistency. If you are going to make a ruling, let it be on both sides. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Barnes. I have just indicated to both sides of the House to please allow the Premier to deliver his State of the Province. Honourable Marais, is that a point of order?
No, sir. I want to appeal for sanity. We cannot try and be a copycat of Sona. This is the Western Cape. This is not a circus. And I want to hear what the Premier has to say. Otherwise, I will not be on the speaker's list tomorrow, because to what must I respond if I respond now already? If you want to respond, tomorrow is the time, members. So I ask that, my point is, if you don't want to hear what the Premier say, there's other members who want to hear. So let him speak, please.
All right. Members, I'm not going to entertain any further points of orders. Members, I'm not going to entertain any further points of orders on this matter. I have ruled. Premier, you can continue.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The last thing I want to say is that I still don't see any real urgency, and that really bothers me. Speaker, I also want to say to the President from this House that I really hope that the National Assembly puts in place transparency and accountability during this disaster. I also want to say to this House that we need to follow what we followed during COVID-19, and I hope that we also appoint an ad hoc committee like we did before that has true oversight of anything that happens in this province around the disaster and fixing our energy system. That we once again table all money spent to this committee as well as publicly to the citizens of our province. Speaker, we in this province will tackle the energy crisis like we tackled COVID-19, with a similar transparency, determination, innovation and grit. I'm still filled with immense pride when I think of how we tackled that pandemic. I think of the Hospital of Hope built in just 6 weeks. I think of medicine deliveries to people's homes. More than 2 million people's home deliveries received medicines. I think of the drive-through vaccine sites, the high-pressure nasal oxygen. I think of the dashboards. I think of the management of the full pandemic. And I stand here thinking back on that time with pride. Speaker, the provision of electricity is not a provincial government mandate. But we will not neglect our duty to make sure that we serve our citizens in this regard. Since last year, we have been formulating and actioning our own plan. Last year, we had an energy bosporite. We had energy workshops with not only our own internal officials, but specialists, university professors. We formed the Western Cape Energy Council. At the start of this year, Alvie Lester was appointed to, I think he's here somewhere. There he is. Thank you, Alvie. Alvie Lester was appointed to lead our council. It is really nice to be able to work with someone who has the expertise and knowledge of energy here in the Western Cape. We set up short-term emergency responses. We're busy putting forward a provincial IRP for short emergency term actions, for medium term and longer term energy resilience and independence in this province. Where the lights go out, we are stepping in to ensure that the most basic needs of our citizens are met. And those basic needs, Speaker, I think can be covered in water, Wi-Fi or connectivity and communication, and health services. Those are the basic needs you need to get right when the power goes down. And then, of course, you build layer upon layer. So first of all, Speaker, when it comes to water, you would have already seen this government making an adjustment of 89 million rand available to local authorities to make sure that we can fund generators to keep water flowing, whether it's water reticulation, water pumping, filling up reservoirs, or also making sure that sewage systems work. Water is critical. You can't have the lights go out and the water fail the citizens. And I hear that mumbling about planning. This has got nothing to do with planning. This is actually what we have done. We did it. We did it. Speaker, I want to say to Minister Bradell and Minister Wenger, to our Treasury and local government teams, and our disaster team, thank you. This whole festive season, in actual fact, since the level 4 to 6 really hit us last year, these teams have been out on the ground making sure that we are mitigating risk. I want to thank them on behalf of the citizens across this province for working through the season and making sure that we could keep water flowing. Then I want to speak about what I said is connectivity communications. I remember last year when we had a power failure in the city, it was very evident that very quickly cell phone towers would go down and we would lose basic communications. I want to welcome a meeting that I had this week with the CEO of Vodacom. He is also the chairman of the Association of Communications and Technology Grouping in South Africa. That brings all of the telcos together. We had a discussion on how we can mitigate risk, not only government connectivity, but how can the private sector also help us make sure that our citizens remain connected when we get into blackout stages. I really want to thank the private sector for helping us in this regard. They have again already met with our disaster management team, making sure that we can keep connected even when we get to levels 4 and 6, and hopefully not beyond. Speaker.
Well, Dagmar, can I please ask that you do not engage the Premier? You can have... No, it's not.
This time, because we know that load shedding is going to last at least the whole year. Eskom reporting last year told us the load shedding this year was going to be worse than last year. It was true. It is much worse. And at the same time, we also need to make sure that not only emergency connectivity happens, but that our learners can keep their homework and their studies going. That, I will address that shortly. We need to know that small businesses can keep operating, because the one thing that we do know is these extended blackouts and this load shedding is really hurting the citizens of our province. Speaker, when it comes to communication, what I will also do is to keep the citizens updated on our Energy Council and what we are busy doing. I will reenact our digicons every week so that we can actually bring in the specialists, we can bring in the teams that are busy finding solutions for this province. Speaker, I have also requested the Provincial Treasury to allocate around 1 billion rand for us to respond to this energy crisis in the upcoming 3-year budget cycle. Speaker,
Honourable Premier, can I please ask that you take your seat? Honourable Khalid, is that a point of order?
Honourable Speaker, while we do appreciate...
Honourable members, there's a member on the floor. Can I please ask that you allow him an opportunity?
We do encourage the public to show appreciation, but I think just a reminder that the public are not to participate in the sitting, even through clapping of hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Syed. Can I again, I'll ask the members of the public and members in the gallery to please not participate in the proceedings of the House. Honourable Premier, Honourable Dagmar, is that a point of order?
No, just for the, I think Speaker, we are gathering momentum now about the rules and all of that, but Honourable Syed raised an important point about the members of the public. But can I ask, because I just saw, I don't know if he's still the acting leader of the DA, but Honourable Member Simmers, he was clapping. Are members themselves in the House allowed to clap?
Yes. Honourable Dagmar, that is not a... Honourable members. Honourable members, can I please ask, honourable members, Honourable Nkondlo, members, can I please again ask you to respect the decorum of the House? We have guests in the gallery and citizens watching the state of the province. Members are allowed to interject, and I've ruled on that previously. Can you please not drown out the speaker? And Honourable Dagmore, that was not a point of order because the members of this House can participate in the proceedings of the House. Honourable Bakabaka Force, is that a point of order?
Baie dankie, Speaker. Ja, ek praat Afrikaans nou. Nee, Speaker, jy het gesê die members van die public, hulle moet nie hande klap nie. Hy het die hande geklap nou. Can you remove him? He keep on distracting.
Honourable members, there was a point of order. Honourable members, there was a point of order. Honourable Bakabaka Force, Honourable Bakabaka Force, you raised the point of order, and I've addressed that point of order because it's the same point of order raised by Honourable Khalid Said. Members, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, is that a point of order? I recognize you.
Speaker, I rise on Section 22 of the Provincial Constitution regarding permanent delegates' rights in the Provincial Parliament. The members at the back are members for the Western Cape Provincial
Honourable
Parliament.
members, there's a member on the floor. Honourable Khalid. Honourable Khalid. Honourable members. Honourable Bartman.
Thank you, Speaker. The section in the Constitution is that the permanent delegates to the National Council of Provinces may attend and speak in the Provincial Parliament and its committees, but may not vote, where there's the difference. The Provincial Parliament may require a permanent delegate to even attend the Provincial Parliament or its committees. And the members sitting at the back are members of the National Council of Province for the Western Cape, and they have a right to clap in this House.
All right, I think that clarified that. Order, members. Thank you very much. Order, members. Honourable members. Honourable members, I mean, really? This is the State of the Province address. You will have an opportunity tomorrow. There's been a request from the Leader of the Opposition that we allow the Premier to deliver his State of the Province. There was a request from Honourable Murray to allow the Premier to deliver his State of the Province. Can I please ask that you allow the Premier to do so? You will have ample opportunity tomorrow to debate the Premier's State of the Province. Honourable Premier, hopefully this is the last interjection. I now see you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, that budget that I've requested, this is proposed to cover initial expenditure to make sure that we keep government services running while load shedding is happening, to make sure that we secure extra diesel to look after our power plants. We don't want to have a power failure when one of our citizens are in an ICU or perhaps on an operating theatre, anywhere where essential services are being delivered to the citizens of this province. We also want to be able to help buffer schools from load shedding. Our children's education must come first. We will also be asking for funding to provide poorer households with what I call power packs. You know, in this country, last year, citizens spent 30 billion rand on inverters and on those plugs to prevent surges destroying your appliances. 30 billion rand. But there are poor people in this province who suffer the most when load shedding comes along. And we need to make sure that those households are looked after. How do we make sure that those households with matric students can still study while there's load shedding happening? We know that moms have to wake up an hour or two earlier in the morning in the darkness to be able to prepare the family for the school day and the work day ahead. We know that we must make sure that we protect the most vulnerable in our society. We must also make sure that we use this funding to help SMMEs with alternative energy options and support. In all things energy, we are gripped by the fierce urgency of now, Speaker. Speaker, it is also my pleasure to welcome an individual here today in our gallery, Akona Winisi. There he is. Akona Winisi is a lecturer at Falsbay College in Westlake here in Cape Town. And some of you will remember that the Department of Economic Development came up with a skills training plan for solar heroes. These are specialists who are going to be installing solar panels, servicing solar panels, and making sure that the solar panel industry and the protection of much of the people of our province through solar generation can have the right skills to make sure that businesses can flourish and that we can invest and make sure that this industry flourishes. So I want to say thank you to Akona for setting up the curriculum, for having a look at exactly the kind of skills that we need, create opportunities for young people to not only play a part, but play a really important part in helping us in the province mitigate this massive risk of load shedding going forward. Speaker, municipal energy resilience is also a major program in our Department of Economic Development and Economic Opportunities. That program links across all of our municipalities in this province. And I want to specifically thank them, but also thank the mayors that are here today. They've come from far and wide. I want to thank you, and through you, your officials that are not only just waiting, they are stepping up to make a difference in all of our municipalities across this province where load shedding is having such a negative impact. You know that in this government, for many years, we've been working on the green economy. We set up Green Cape, which I'm so proud of now, which plays a role not only in South Africa, not only advising the president in his speech, but internationally as well. We also rolled out tariff processes for our municipalities. Our MER program has been there supporting this transition. They've been there through the Energy Game Changer, which initially with SSEG in the 1 megawatt space saw around 3,000 independent power producers and about 135 extra megawatts, Leader of Opposition, in our energy system. But you know what? That number has grown exponentially. The city already has 60,000 energy producers in the city. These are businesses and families who have got solar panels on their roofs. The MER program has approved and is busy with municipal applications for 6,756 PV programs or installations across our municipalities, another 197 megawatts. Speaker, I also want to say that the mayors that are here today and the programs that are running across our province, the action that is already taking place in our province, I'm really proud of. The City of Cape Town, and the mayor sitting there, he's already announced cash for power. He will pay cash to citizens and businesses that help us get out of this mess.
What about the surcharge?
The city, as we know, already can mitigate 2 levels of load shedding, already making a massive difference to the citizens just here in this region. They've also allocated 132 million rand to extra diesel and 25 million rand to diesel storage. They've already put 62 generators on water pumps, 26 generators on water pump stations, 110 generators on sewage pumps. They've also announced and are busy with 70 megawatts of their own solar PV plants. They've already gone out to tender for a further 200 megawatts of power. That tender system has closed and they're busy with due diligence. 500 megawatts will be going out again in the city for dispatchable power within the next month. More than half of their traffic lights and intersections have got battery systems as backups. This is local government really stepping up and making a difference to the citizens of this province. In George, for example, they're already busy with a wheeling framework, and they're busy with a pilot trading platform that once the proof of concept is finished, it will be able to be rolled out across other municipalities. In Mossel Bay, the private sector are busy with the municipality looking at waste to energy. They're also looking, if you drive past Mossel Bay and you see that flame from moss gas, they're having a look at how they can even harness the energy coming out of that flame for energy, for electricity. I also am very happy that we've seen the allocation of 3,000 megawatts of gas to energy in Mossel Bay. That was held back for so long from this province. And we will work with the national government to make sure that we can land those megawatts into our system as quickly as possible. Stellenbosch is about to go out with its own IPP tenders for energy. Saldanha Bay playing a major role in the green transition, green hydrogen and the corridor. I'll say a bit more about that just now. But also the role that they play in the free port of Saldanha, the industrial area there plays, linking it to green steel and the potential of the ArcelorMittal plant now getting into markets in Europe. These, amongst other things, are the actions that our municipalities are taking to mitigate our citizens from this load shedding risk that we all feel every single day. But you know what, Speaker? All of these budgets, the diesel that they are procuring, has to come from service delivery. And that's the real tragedy. We are stepping up to make the difference, but we have to take the money from other things because of the failure of Eskom or the failure to rectify the system of energy provision in South Africa after so many years. Speaker, while this province is showing the fierce urgency of now and putting more megawatts on the grid, the national government is not adding a single megawatt. In actual fact, less megawatts today than we had 3,000 days ago. All that they are adding is more bureaucracy, more ministers, and slowing down the delivery system in our country. The Western Cape government is on a drive to increase energy resilience, to highlight the immense potential of the power generation sector, specifically the green economy, has in being able to stimulate growth, attract investment, and create employment. In the last 10 years, Speaker, the green economy sector attracted nearly 18 billion rand in foreign direct investment in this province. This confirms the huge potential of our province's green economy going forward, and how a continued focus on strengthening our energy resilience will not only relieve pressure created by the mass power cuts, but also contribute more investment and economic growth. This is a burgeoning market, one which we will harness to the fullest potential. Speaker, we also have a major responsibility as a province with regards to the just energy transition and our role that we play on the planet, making sure that we are tackling climate change, understanding the pressure on us, understanding the pressure that our system currently, where coal power is providing some power to our agri-sector, but by 2030, if we haven't enabled more and more green energy, that is going to affect our ability to sell our products, agricultural and agri-processed products, to say the least, into those global markets. And therefore, we take this very, very seriously. I also want to say that a next area that we have to target, our Energy Council, our training systems for new skills, is are we able to make sure that our grid is invested in, serviced and maintained, and not only the national grid in this province, the Eskom grid, but also our local government grids. And I really believe that we need to make sure that just as we built solar installer skills programs, we need to be doing exactly the same thing on high voltage energy specialists, on people that are going to be able to deal with the expansion of our grid system. At the moment, there are 7.5 gigawatts of power that is a potential in South Africa of green renewable energy, but it cannot enter the grid system because the grid system has not been invested in or upgraded. We have to make sure that we are playing our part there. Speaker, last year, post my engagement in the EU, we came back to this province, signed an agreement with our neighboring province. Premier Zamani, Saul and I made sure that both provinces have got green hydrogen strategies, the only two provinces in South Africa, and we signed an agreement to work together to make sure that we play our part in the just energy transition, that we use the huge potential of green hydrogen demand for export to Europe as a pull factor of changing our green energy systems in our province, fixing our problem, but at the same time creating massive investment opportunities. We then had the privilege of hosting the National Green Hydrogen Summit here, and it was really exciting to see the number of international companies really interested in what we are doing, and the effect that that is going to have on the Saldanha Bay Freeport. I've spoken already about how we're going to start producing green steel into the future. These are really exciting programs for us here in the region, and not only for South Africa, for the provinces of the Western Cape and the Northern Cape, but Namibia too, engaging to build a green hydrogen corridor here in the southern part of Africa that will be able to compete and make sure that we play a part in the global demand of green hydrogen going forward. We also have the work being done at the moment in the Atlantis Green Economic Zone. I was just there the other day. Massive opportunities of attracting more and more investment into our region. But also I think that when we're going out to tender now for more energy coming into the system, we can use our own land that we've got there right next to the Ankerlig power station, and how we can enable other energy producers. And I think this will fit in nicely with the Mayor's call for dispatchable power. Speaker, this last year, moving from the green economy, energy, now to education. This last year, our education community rolled up its sleeves and dug deep to claw back the time lost in class and expand the province's schooling environment. Once more, our investment in infrastructure has proved to be essential. Last year, I joined the Minister of Education, Minister Mania, on his rapid build program. It was unbelievably impressive. He and I went to Delft, where we walked around a physical school that had been in construction for only 60 days. 60 days later, it wasn't foundations. They were finishing off the ceilings and the Wi-Fi connectivity inside the roof. They were doing the paving outside. A school for 500 learners with new innovation and technology and the ability to use the school hall differently, beam out education to citizens around the region. That wasn't the only school, Speaker. The rapid build was building many schools across this province. In actual fact, this year, this financial year, the target is 842 new classrooms, of which 662 classrooms have already been delivered, the rest between now and the end of the financial year in March. Speaker, not only building classrooms and building schools 4 times faster than we have ever done so before, this department has added more teachers than we've ever added before. 1,143 additional teachers added to the system. 1,143 additional teachers in the system, Speaker. And going forward this year, they're going to top that up again by another 430. In years gone by, we were lucky if we had 300 to 500 new educators coming into the system every year. This has gone way beyond. Minister, well done, and thank you very much. Speaker, I also want to thank all of the officials, the government partners, the contractors, the private sector who stepped in, the school staff for all of your hard work to bring this to reality. The speed and quality of work is inspiring, and I'm really glad it has already been applauded. Speaker, every year for the last several years, this province has had to accommodate nearly 20,000 additional learners from other provinces every single year. This is never easy
Honourable Premier,
and takes tremendous resources.
Honourable Premier, please take your seat. Honourable Doug Moore, when we started the session, you rose on a point of order and you asked that we please allow the Premier to deliver his state of the province. Can I please remind you of those words? And I understand that interjections are allowed, but you are having a dialogue with the Premier. You will have your opportunity tomorrow.
Just address you. I think it was you that stopped the Premier. He's the Premier. He wasn't stopping. I said a few things, but you stopped him. He must continue because
Honourable Doug Moore, you are dialoguing, going into dialogue with the Premier. Can I please ask that you allow the Premier to deliver his state of the province, and you'll have an opportunity tomorrow. Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I'm really impressed with the department on how they are able to deal with not only building these extra classrooms, but making sure that we are placing learners. They have already placed, listen to this number, they have already placed 120,000 unique grade 1 and grade 8 learners in this province, and only 1,400 learners as I stand here today still need to be placed, and these learners are coming to this province and have only arrived in January and February this year. Speaker.
No, Honourable Premier, please take your seat. Honourable Khalid, Honourable Syed, can I please ask you that you respect the decorum of the House and not engage with the Premier directly? Honourable Premier.
Speaker, so once again, I congratulate this department going above and beyond. These numbers are truly remarkable. Speaker, I've already asked in my energy ask that we have extra funding for education to keep the lights on. But I must say, and we all know that the load shedding crisis impacts specifically our schools terribly. The Western Cape Education Department is really working hard to keep the lights on. So far, there are 41 schools that have entered into agreements with 8 companies to install solar power solutions. In addition to this, the department is helping schools replace traditional light fittings. 25 schools have received funding for this to fit LED light systems. The department is also investigating installing solar PV panels on any new school that we build and on any upgrade or replacement. Speaker, I must also say that despite the many challenges over the last year, or should I say over the last few years, I am so proud of the matric class of 2022. Our pass rate increased to 81.4%, while at the same time we achieved a retention rate, and this is a critical number, a retention rate of nearly 70%, resulting in 49,102 candidates passing matric this year. I would also like to congratulate and welcome the top achievers. I want to say that the top achievers in this province, Kelly Prowse from Rustenburg Girls High School, recognized as the top candidate in the entire country. Simone Lowe from Bloemhof High School, also right up there. Kenneth Janssen from Hoërskool Jongenskool Paul. Atinkosi Konzani, he's from the Center of Science and Technology. And Jason de Villiers from Rondebosch High. These are the absolute top performers in our education system, and we congratulate them. Thank you, Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Speaker, the top overall candidate in the country has come from the Western Cape in 5 of the past 6 years. And the top candidate in mathematics has come from our province in the past 4 years, every year. We are very proud of all our learners, many of whom have overcome all odds to achieve their goals. Speaker, among them is a marvelous learner, Luca Kraus, who is here today, sits up there in the gallery. Speaker, Luca has or is living with apraxia of speech. a speech sound condition that prevents him from communicating verbally. He also needs help with moving his hands, and a facilitator had to help him to write his exams. Sometimes he would sit for up to 6 hours to finish an exam. Speaker Luka achieved 82% in this matric. Congratulations. Luka gives us inspiration. Tackling challenges that we have, after listening to that, you know we can tackle just about anything. Speaker, I now need to move to jobs. While we celebrate the successes of our matriculants, it is essential that they are able to enter a thriving economy filled with multiple job opportunities. Our country's energy woes also impact this key priority of our government. Our province's economic growth is muted. Growth projections for this year is 0.5%. This is linked to rolling blackouts, bad national policy decisions, and global pressures. I'm encouraged through the incredible tourism season that this province has just experienced. Cape Town International Airport recorded over 266,000 international passengers and just short of 800,000 domestic passengers coming through that port. Speaker, this brought our overall passenger numbers coming through the airport to just over 7 million this year. Our hotel occupancy in the Western Cape was also up on pre-pandemic numbers. Our recovery this year will be further augmented by a calendar full of events such as we're experiencing in our region right now. The Women's Cricket World Cup. Next week, the world's battery heads will all be here for the Formula E. The Cape Town Cycle Tour. Of course, I must mention something with cycling, Speaker. And maybe one day, the Epic also taking place. The Netball World Cup. I was reading today that there's the World Championship ice hockey taking place here in the city. There's the Cape Town Carnival to come. There's our rural towns with jazz festivals, with literary and art festivals. The conventions and indabas are also back. We've just had the mining indaba, and the CTICC was bursting at the seams. Looking at our conferencing industry, at their forward bookings, it really, really bodes well for economic recovery. Speaker, recovery also comes through investment. And not only the Cape Town International investment with all of those passengers I've just spoken about. I saw in the audience here some investors that are going to be investing in a second airport here in Cape Town, the new Cape Winelands Airport. These are exciting things where people are prepared to dig deep, fund new projects that are going to make big differences to the economy going forward. The Amazon head office now really getting going. BPO, and not only in the city, it is so nice to see BPO investing in Mitchell's Plain, building call centers in Mitchell's Plain, taking jobs closer to the people. I must celebrate an entrepreneur, Marlon Parker, here, because our first Thursday took place in Mitchell's Plain at his new office that he's built in that suburb. An unbelievable beacon of hope for people. When a world-class entrepreneur who operates in 23 or 24 countries around the world, been involved in training hundreds of thousands of people, helping hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs and businesses with skills, set up shop back here at home in Mitchell's Plain. Really exciting. On Saturday, I will be joining another entrepreneur who we are very proud of, Luvuyo Rani, someone who has really been recognized by the World Economic Forum as a social entrepreneur, someone who started here in Khayelitsha but built businesses across South Africa. I think of the Ashley Aces of the world who really, prior to COVID-19, produced test kits, but he was the one during the pandemic that came up with a 15-second COVID test kit and is now working with MIT and companies in the US building electronic and data-driven test kits for the health sector. I think of the informal traders, and I'm really happy that Rashida Mullah is here today. She is the person that really fights for our informal traders. I know that sometimes I don't get to answer my phone every time, but I want to celebrate you and the passion that you drive the informal sector here in this region. We are accompanied by the business chambers, by Westgrow, by entrepreneurs. I believe that one of our jam manufacturers are here that takes agri-processing to market. It really is exciting and an exciting time for business, entrepreneurs and opportunity. But you know, Speaker, when you come out of a pandemic or a crisis, you can't just carry on and let the same old happen. So I want to say to Minister Wenger, thank you very much for all the work that you've put in to our Growth for Jobs strategy. With a very short time frame, dedication from our officials, bringing in other specialists from outside and producing an amazing document with some really nice, ambitious goals for us as a region. This comprehensive, ambitious goal for the Western Cape is to grow the provincial economy between 4% and 6% by 2035. The goal is to fuel and stimulate economic growth so that we achieve or we become a 1 trillion rand provincial GDP economy by 2035. This would require an annual growth rate of 3.8%, and it would also need or would translate into in excess of another 600,000 jobs. It is inspired by a vision of achieving an economy that is sustainable and diverse. A key component of the strategy is enabling private sector-led growth and the work of businesses, entrepreneurs, informal traders whose competitiveness and job creation ability are dependent upon the services that we provide. I would also like to say, also dependent on sometimes us just getting out of the way. We are blessed with an abundance of talent that is well positioned to identify economic opportunities in this province. The urgency with which we need to address unemployment is real and needs strong collaboration. We are not working in isolation or in silos. We are working together. Speaker, in South Africa, we have the highest youth unemployment rate in the world. And so we must be especially concerned about our youth, about young people and job opportunities for young people. If a young person loses hope in finding a job, the consequences are usually dire and often lead to a life of crime. There we must therefore say to residents, especially the youth, those opportunities, we must make sure that we are looking at the most vulnerable in our society. And here I would like to speak to some of the interventions by our Social Development Department. There we are busy bolstering our safety plan with the development from social development to track and assist 1,800 families with support. And we will also have over 3,000 parents or 3,000 parents receiving parenting programs. I've seen it myself. It is really an amazing program. Watching the Yebonaires busy delivering help and training to young parents in our region. We will also look for partnerships.
Honourable members, Premier, please take a seat. Honourable members, you are bordering on no longer interjecting. You are now drowning out the speaker. Can I please ask that you leave all your comments for tomorrow? Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much. We are also, through our partnerships with the YES program, setting an initial target for 2023 of a further 3,000 work opportunities. This is how young people get opportunities and will add to our already 10,000 first work and youth service opportunities created in this government over the last few years. We are helping young people find and explore their passions through support of our after-school program. And there, Minister Marais, thank you very much. This is a great program that really offers hope to our young people, especially in areas that are under pressure. We engage with passionate young people and are more likely to succeed in all aspects of life after going through this program. We are committed to ensure every child is able to engage in physical activity, play sport, and be creative. These programs are designed to keep young people off the street and engaged. Also linked to this program, I'm really happy to see that through sports development, this department at present is busy with 739 individuals who are employed across various sub-directorates. These young people are offering sporting codes and are really managing this system across our province. Another intervention, Speaker, is the Chrysalis Academy, something that every single person in this province can be super proud of. This is an initiative run by the Police Oversight and Community Safety Department. Thank you, Minister Allen. And those of you who have not had the opportunity to go to a passing out parade of a class, it's something that you should do. I promise you, it will make a difference in your soul when you see those young people, those young men and women passing out after going through welding programs, cooking programs, skills on computers, fitness training. This academy is really making us proud. And every intake, every 3 months, takes 230 young people from our province and puts them through the system. No, they didn't. Speaker, the Chrysalis Academy has got a very strong brand and is also rolling out a new trial. They've launched the first ever community-based holistic program in Atlantis. 26 young Atlantis youth are going to be participating in this program. They are matriculants. And I'm really looking forward to the outcome of this program, because if it works, we can see how we can roll it out even further. Speaker, I'd like to now move to a part of our economy called agriculture. Minister Mayor, agriculture. There is no better example of resilience than our farmers. When most other sectors in the economy suffered during the pandemic, agriculture flourished. They made sure that they kept food security in check.
Honourable Premier.
Agriculture.
Honourable Premier, there's a point of order. Please take your seat. Honourable
Thank
Chief
you, Honourable
Whip.
Speaker. Speaker, I wish to rise on Rule 39, which does not allow for loud conversion. Now, Speaker, we've got guests today. We've got the media here. One can understand that the opposition members would like to be relevant with their 3 branches in the Western Cape. Honourable Speaker, this is not national parliament.
Honourable members, there's a member on the floor.
You made
Is
mention
a member.
that the debate...
Honourable Chief Whip, please take your seat. Honourable members, there's a member on the floor on a point of order. Please allow the member to raise the point of order. Honourable Deputy, Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The debate is taking place tomorrow. We do look forward to the opposition dissecting the SOPA. We do look forward to innovative ideas. And we do look forward, Honourable Speaker, as to what the rest of the country is doing. So we do look forward to the debate tomorrow. Because actually what is happening in the rest of the country, Speaker, is dololo. Thank you, Speaker.
Honourable Chief Whip. Honourable members, Honourable Chief Whip, you started off with a point of order and went into a short speech. I'm not going to entertain the last part of your contribution. Honourable members, Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, this agricultural sector in the last 2 years gave us double-digit growth. Well done, Minister. This province's agricultural sector is contributing to our growth and jobs creation. It contributes around 11% to the province's GDP, and 55% of South Africa's agricultural exports come from this province. The Western Cape is blessed with abundant farmland, capable, resilient farming communities who through rain, drought, heat and cold plough and harvest to keep us fed. Speaker, I also would like to welcome the opening of an investment into a dam called the Brandtvlei Dam. Yes. Do you know how many years we had to push Minister of Water Affairs to get this small project up and running, which makes a massive difference? 5,000 hectares.
Premier, can you speak to the chair, please?
So I'd like to say thank you to Minister Burdell for going along to the opening of that dam. It really is great to see finality of long years of hard pushing. I did hear that the Clanwilliam Dam is back on the table, and I welcome that absolutely. What I do want to say is that we do have an election coming up. We've already had 4 sod turnings and big fanfares with tents and food to get that Clanwilliam Dam going with nothing happening. No more sod turnings, no more tents and food, no more big fanfare before an election. This time, let's just build the dam. And if National can't build the dam, give it to us, give it to our new infrastructure department. We will build it. Speaker, I also want to say that with regards to food security, I am worried. I spoke about the impact on food security because of what's happening in the Ukraine. Right here, load shedding is having a similar impact. And that was part of my letter to the President, not only asking for clarity on what is happening with new energy coming into the system. It was also to raise the alarm. In this province, 180,000 hectares of permanent crops are at risk because we do not have the energy for the irrigation systems. That's 60 billion rand potential loss. But the big problem is that just adds to insecurity and food inflation. We've seen that the maize production in our province, where mealies that should be 1.5 meters high right now are 30 centimeters high. Maize is a staple diet. Maize inflation price is going to skyrocket. That is going to hit the poorest of the poor. The cheapest protein around is chicken. We've already seen 10 million day-old chicks die because of load shedding. There is a massive risk going forward, and we already feel it. Before the load shedding, our Minister of Health in her systems in measurement already shows that malnutrition is an underlying problem when coming to our hospitals. The Minister of Social Development, you would have seen in the last adjustment budget, got another 25 million rand to mitigate this risk. This is an ongoing risk and really worries me going forward. Speaker, and so to supplement our food system, Minister Meyer continues to invest in food gardens. The current financial year, the department invested in 2,692 household food gardens, 185 community projects, and 28 school food gardens. Our plan the coming year is to support a further 3,000 food gardens and do that year after year. A further 85 community and school food gardens. This is how we also mitigate risk, especially for the poorest of the poor. The department will continue investing in our transformation agenda. 119,697,000 rand was made available in the last year to the CASP program, supporting emerging farmers. And that was topped up by another 58.9 million rand to give small producers support. Speaker, agriculture remains a key for our food security, but it is also a major area where we see huge investment coming into our province. You just have to drive across the province and see how many more areas are covered in nets or news pack houses are being built. And I really want to thank this sector for the resilience and the confidence that they keep on investing. Speaker, our province is a construction site. We are creating more jobs in our province through infrastructure development, a critical economic lever, than anywhere else. The Western Cape continues to lead the country in the value of buildings that we have been completed or that have been completed over the past year. Speaker, in 2022, 27% more building plans were passed in this province as compared to the previous year. The Western Cape recorded 25 billion rands worth of completed buildings between January and November last year. This represents 40% of the total value of buildings in South Africa completed over this period. 40% of the total buildings in our whole country. Between January and August 2022, the value of buildings completed in the Western Cape was 19.6 billion, representing a year-on-year growth of 42.1%, compared to 13.2 billion in Gauteng, with a year-on-year growth of 8.7%. Over the same period, the value of building plans passed in the province totaled 24.29 billion, representing a year-on-year growth of 25.2%. This is compared to the 23.3 billion in Gauteng, which is a negative year-on-year growth of minus 1.9%. Speaker, citizens are moving to this province. I wonder why.
Why do you only address certain
No one complains about people moving to this province. To further attract investment in our province, to better enable the private sector and to help stimulate jobs and create growth, we need to continue investing in infrastructure. Speaker, we need to develop our towns and cities to meet the demand of our growing population. This province's current population now sits at 7.2 million citizens, and we are estimated to grow to 8 million citizens by 2030. However, if I look at the numbers, last year and the year before, I'm almost certain the 8 million will be reached a year earlier than 2030. We are under pressure to dramatically expand our province's infrastructure to meet the needs of a growing population. As you know, this government has established a dedicated infrastructure department. And I want to say, I want to say thank you very much to the officials who are busy with the process of establishing this new department. I'm also really happy. I'm not sure what time, DG, you sent it to me. It was probably about 5 o'clock this morning when I got the designation from the President. So that is really good news. As we establish the Infrastructure Department, the aim is to further prioritize the importance of developing and maintaining critical infrastructure in our province. Here, I want to recognize our municipalities as well. I want to recognize the Mayor of Cape Town and say to him, thank you for also prioritizing infrastructure. There we have seen the city growing infrastructure investment by 110% in the next 3 years. And this year, the city of Cape Town's infrastructure spend is now more than the city of Joburg's infrastructure spend. 1 million rand more, but it's more, and it keeps on growing. Well done, Mayor. Speaker, some key Western Cape infrastructure projects in this province include the upgrading of the refinery interchange on the N7 currently underway. If you drive there now, you will see construction happening. The construction of the bypass linking roads and intersections around Malmesbury. You'll see the Stanford to Gansbaai rehabilitation program, the Carlitsdorp to Oudtshoorn rehabilitation program of District Road 1688. This investment, as well as the investment in maintenance undertaken through our own road workers team across this province, speak to the focus of mainstreaming infrastructure as we have. Speaker, we always see that photograph of roads entering into our province, where you see a line across the road. That is exactly how we visualize infrastructure in our province, a tangible difference. Let's also talk about other projects, the Kochmans Kloof project. I see on the screen there's a picture of the Ashton Bridge, an award-winning construction. Our teams have won awards for that. The first time on the African continent that a bridge like that a concrete tied arch bridge has been built separate to the road and moved into place. A construction like that gives our young people in our province hope that they can go and do engineering at our universities and that they will be taken seriously. There's a job for them into the future to design amazing infrastructure. I also think of the Kochmanskloof project, the road, 2019 and opened last year, 2022, an amazing project, Minister Simmers, that really shows how important we take connectivity. That road and that bridge sits, Minister Mayor, in an area where the fruit industry is the biggest fruit industry in the southern hemisphere. It creates connectivity, it makes sure that we mitigate risk, it better not ever wash away. Speaker, moving on to social housing infrastructure, and there again, I want to say that our attempts to build better communities by delivering critical infrastructure and services are under attack from extortion mafias and syndicates. We now spend as much as 1.5 million rand a month beefing up security at our construction sites. This is totally unacceptable. Speaker, the number of housing beneficiaries affected by extortion continues to rise and is currently sitting at about 21,000 residents in our province. Also, noting that illegal occupation of sites in our province is taking away opportunities. I think here, Mayor, of the Helen Bowden site, or I think of the Woodstock Hospital site, but I also think of our very own Helen Bowden site, which are sites which are there to create housing opportunities in the middle of the city. And these are occupied illegally and are taking rights away from citizens. This is where SAPS and other legal systems are failing us. The police can't and won't act, and the courts make it very difficult and sometimes even impossible. I want to thank our partners in the City of Cape Town and its law enforcement agencies and community organizations for taking a stand against these criminal syndicates. Speaker, I want to also say that in the year ahead, the province has committed to creating another 9,395 housing opportunities. These opportunities spread across our province, and they're on different programs. Some of these programs, like Help Me Buy a Home initiative, which has growing success. This program has a target to deliver 2,000 units this year, and in actual fact, we've surpassed that program and delivered 2,074. In August, I was privileged to accompany Minister Simmers to the handover of homes in De Hoop in Malmesbury. There, it was the first phase of 395 houses. It will eventually have 3,468 homes. The construction is commenced at the Goodwood Station initiative, consisting of a further 1,055 units. We've also delivered at social housing level opportunities. I think of Maitland Mews, 204 units, Regent Villas, 60 units, Conradi Park with 100 units, social housing units in phase 1, and the whole of Conradi Park development will be delivering 3,500 units in total. Infrastructure, Speaker, is a huge job creator, and I want to thank Minister Simmers for leading this portfolio and the infrastructure team. Speaker, I also want to speak about health infrastructure. The poet Virgil once said, "The greatest wealth is health." Delivering quality health care to our residents is vital to ensure their well-being so that they can be active economic citizens. We are continually expanding our health service to meet the needs of a growing population. You would have seen Minister Mbombo crisscrossing this province, opening an upgraded clinic in Gansbaai, or the New Day Clinic in Lanesburg. The Observatory Forensic Pathology Institute is just about completed. Phase 1 of the new emergency centre at Victoria Hospital has been completed. 2 new acute psychiatric wards, and this is really critical. We need more and more psychiatric wards in our system. 2 new wards have been opened in Hermanus and in Bredasdorp. The new casualty centre at the Red Cross War Memorial or Children's Hospital was opened earlier this year, and this is also showing an amazing partnership, and I must say to the powerful fundraising team at the Red Cross Hospital, they do amazing work. Speaker, it's not only about clinics and upgrades. We also have to build big hospitals. In the time that I've been in government, we've built a hospital in Mitchell's Plain and a hospital in Khayelitsha. We are now...
Premier, please take your seat. Honourable members.
Speaker, it's fine. I can actually deal with him.
Honourable members. Premier, please take your seat. Honourable members. Honourable Syed, is there a point of order? Please.
Honourable
Point of
Speaker,
order.
it is unparliamentary, especially
Honourable
on the day
Nkondo,
of
there's
SOPA,
Honourable Syed,
for
please
the
give me-
Honourable Premier
Honourable
to mislead
Syed,
the House. This is the second
Honourable
time he
Syed,
has misled the House.
Honourable Syed, what is your point of order?
That's my point of order. The Premier is misleading the House.
Honourable members, there's a point of order. Honourable member, there's a point of order. Honourable Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise on Rule 59, both subsection 1 and subsection 2, dealing with the reflections upon members of this House. If a member who wishes to bring any improper or unethical conduct on the part of another member of this House to the attention of this House, they must do so by way of a substantive motion. Substantive motion has not been brought in this matter, and therefore we must move on with the proceedings of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip. Honourable Syed, is that a point of order?
Chair, please, if the Deputy Chief Whip wanted to be the Chief Whip, she should have lobbied for that long time ago. But let
Honourable
me,
members,
I'm
there's a
really
member on the
sorry that
floor.
she didn't make it as a Chief Whip. But
Honourable-
that is a spurious point. What I raised was not a substantive point of order or speaking about the character of the member. It's merely indicating that the Premier is misleading the House. Thank you.
Thank you, honourable members. Honourable members. Honourable members, Honourable members, Honourable Barnes. Can I, on both sides of the House, members, can I please ask that you respect the decorum of this House? I mean, we're getting into dialogue. Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The redevelopment of the Tygerberg Hospital, and I want to congratulate the teams who've been really working hard. This is the second biggest hospital in South Africa and the biggest hospital in this province. And that redevelopment, public-private partnership, is well on its way. Thank you very much to the team for getting us there. I also want to say that the Klipfontein Regional Hospital, which is a crucial mega project, is now in its planning stage and professional services are being appointed. This is also really good news, Speaker. Speaker, on an infrastructure of another sort, I want to recognize the Hectus program. This is IT and tech infrastructure. We knew this role that this product played in fighting COVID-19. You would have seen it on our dashboards. You would have seen it when Dr. Kluti was presenting to the PCC or the country. This is a piece of technology that is really giving us unbelievable data, helping us with the safety plan, helping us with trauma, helping us obviously in our hospital systems to understand trauma, but also playing its role in violence prevention. Thank you for now rolling it out to 41 of our health facilities. Data and evidence is actually how modern governments need to be making decisions and moving forward. I also want to say, and I spoke of the violence prevention and monitoring, and Minister Mbombo, thank you very much for the role that you play there. I want to say that gender-based violence and using that data is really helping us move to a different level. Speaker, I also want to talk about mobility. And as we said, the designation came through late last night, or I got it very, very early this morning. And we've got to make sure that just like any thriving modern society, mobility needs to be tackled head on. Without public transport, specifically a passenger rail network, without the passenger rail network in ruins, the Mobility Department has an immense challenge ahead of it to find solutions of getting public transport back on track. Mismanagement, incompetence, and crime have driven our public transport system into the ground instead of forward. Many people, particularly the working class, are hit the hardest by this public transport void. Speaker, I want to say to you that public transport in South Africa is in crisis because of how the national government treats it. We, between the city, the province and other municipalities, need to take over the rail service. We need to make sure that we are able to play a much stronger role in rolling out public transport. I'm happy to announce that the Mobility Department will now roll out phase 4 of the Go George project. Speaker, I also want to say that I really look forward to announcing the new Minister of Mobility early next week. Speaker, while on mobility, I must reflect on the safety on our roads in this last holiday season. This festive season, road fatalities stats showed that we had a reduction of 36.7% in fatalities on our roads. That is an unbelievable achievement. And Speaker, that definitely can. Speaker, I want to say that I saw that for myself. I attended roadblocks. Minister Mayor, the acting minister, was all over the province on roadblocks, day and night. But I want to say through this minister, I met the new recruits. I met the traffic officers, men and women, who kept our roads safe. But I would like to say, Minister, we need to really send to them a special gratitude on what they achieved, on making sure that we reduce fatalities and make our roads safe. Speaker, while talking about safety, I now want to talk about improving law enforcement and safety for our citizens in our province.
Honourable Premier, Honourable Barnes, this will be the last time. You are directly in conversation with somebody on the right. Whoever the person is that you're conversing with, can I please ask that you do not get into a dialogue on both sides of the House? Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Speaker. By making communities safer, we can create an environment where people can realise their potential and flourish, free from fear and becoming another victim of crime. The Western Cape Safety Plan remains our overarching guide to fighting crime. Crime poses a major risk to our province's prosperity. If people are too afraid to leave their homes, to go to work and school, how can we expect progress? How are families and citizens and businesses expected to operate in gang-infested areas where violence is a daily reality? Given the severe under-resourcing and hopeless national political leadership of the South African Police Services, the Western Cape government has had to step in. One of our flagship interventions has been the Law Enforcement Advancement Plan, or LEAP. Speaker, since its inception, LEAP has been a resounding success. The initiative has seen over 1,200 women and men, just like Assistant Chief Jason Hamilton, who is here today. There he is. Or just like Principal Inspector Ronel Lont, who is also in the House. Thank you very much for being here. I would like to, through you, pass on to every man and woman in the LEAP program. I want to say thank you very much for what you are doing to make it safer in our hotspot murder areas in this province. I also want to say to the Mayor that this only works because of a great partnership between the city and the province. I also want to say, and perhaps here I must recognize General Patekile.
May I please speak
I
to
must
the chair?
recognize General Patekile, our Provincial Commissioner. Thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you for the partnership. I attacked the police, management and minister. Speaker, we've seen in the press that one of our police stations had to close in a real hotspot area. This province will now explore the initiative of opening a LEAP station in one of these areas, one of these hotspot areas that will offer services to our citizens, but also enable our LEAP officers to use as a base. The city and provincial partnership has achieved much. But you know, Speaker, I want to tell you about the environment in which these officials work, SAPs and our law enforcement officers. I want to tell you about the environment in which they work. I want to say to you why I said to the Leader of the Opposition now, it's not General Patekile, it is the minister and the management that sits in Pretoria that gets it wrong. Let me give you some detail. Speaker, let me give you some detail. Let me give you some detail. Let these citizens, these members, listen. In the Eastern Cape, we're not serious. Let's talk about serious. In the Eastern Cape, there were 4,407 murders last year. I will get to the Western Cape now. 4,407 murders.
Premier, can you please address the chair and not directly the members?
Sorry, Speaker. I get a bit carried away when I think about how many citizens die in our province, in our country every year. So, Speaker, in the Eastern Cape, 4,407 citizens died, and that's an increase of 18.7% in murders. In Gauteng, 5,570 citizens died, lost their lives. That's an increase of 18.9%. In KZN, 6,495 citizens lost their lives. That is a murder increase. That is a murder increase of 34.6%. The lowest increase of those three provinces. The lowest increase is 18.7%, nearly 20% increase in murders in the last year alone. 26,000 citizens in our country lost their lives. But you know what? Do you know what, Speaker? In the Western Cape, we lost 4,109 citizens. 4,109 citizens of this province were murdered last year. But, Speaker, that was a 6.8% increase. The only area in the country that is seeing declines in murder in the hotspot areas that we are focusing in. The only place in South Africa where murder comes down. They make a lot of noise, but 26,000 people were murdered in this country on Bheki Cele's watch. And what does he do about it? Nothing. That's why we have to have a change. That's why we have to have a change. Speaker, I want to reflect on some of those areas. Let's first think about Nyanga, which is no longer the murder capital of South Africa. In actual fact, the Western Cape is no longer the murder capital by population of South Africa. That has changed. It has moved to other provinces. But in this province, because of this intervention, we have results like Mfuleni with a minus 32.3%, a reduction of 32% in murders. Kraaifontein down by 15.6%, Guvuletu down by 16.2%. Khayelitsha down by 9.4%. Harare down by 3.6%. Speaker, that speaks volumes. Yes, yes, the law enforcement officers along with SAPS working together, bringing down the murder rate, the only place in South Africa.
Premier, please take your seat. Honourable Chief Whip.
Speaker, die waarheid maak seer. Speaker, in terms of Rule 39, it is very clear that the three branches are in contravention. Speaker, can you please also rule in terms of Rule 40 and maintain the order in order for us to hear the Premier of the Western Cape? Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honourable members, there was a point of order. I have asked Honourable Nkondlo. There was a point of order. There was a point of order raised by the Chief Whip in terms of conversion and drowning out the Speaker. We are nearing the end of the State of the Province address. Can I please ask that you allow the Premier to do his speech, and you will have an opportunity tomorrow to debate it. So can I please ask both sides of the House to please, Honourable Barnes, can I please ask for your indulgence, members, on both sides of the House to afford the Premier the opportunity that you all have and will have tomorrow. Premier, hopefully this is really the last interjection.
Thank you, Speaker. You indicated that this is nearly the end of the speech. Well, with all of these interjections, it's a long way before the end of the speech. So, Speaker, these brave, dedicated women and men are also taking guns off our streets every single day. Hundreds of guns are coming off our streets. I think about a gun removed, I think about a life saved. I think about a gun removed, I think about a life saved. In actual fact, a gun removed or a knife removed means many lives saved. Many of our children's lives saved, caught in crossfire, caught in gang violence. We really want to thank these officers, day and night, out there deployed according to data and evidence, and it is making a difference. Now, Speaker, the interesting part about our safety plan, our call for devolution and a new model. The interesting part there is that the Gauteng Premier Lesufi, has now raised the issue of devolution and a new model in policing. And in actual fact, when you see the minutes of the Lekgotla come out, you will see that the President said, based on what Gauteng and the Western Cape have said, we need to have a discussion on a new model of policing in South Africa. I will also say that it's interesting to see the other premiers who also want to be part of this discussion. Speaker, there was a time last year where I was really disturbed. We saw a court ruling, Judge Tulare. Judge Tulare, in a bail application, ruled that the top table of police management is infiltrated by gangsters. Even the leader of the opposition nods his head, because we've got a ruling in a court now. But go out into the public and citizens say that every single day. Now, what I asked is the police ombudsman to do an investigation for me. I actually wondered whether we should hold a commission of inquiry. What should we do? Because this is the first real concrete, tangible to the rumors that run rife every single day across our communities. The ombudsman did not recommend it. And after discussion with him, he was saying, how are individuals going to come and give evidence in an open public forum to say the guy next door to me is the gangster linked to someone in the police. So what I've decided to do, and I've already started engaging with real advisors.
Premier, please take a seat. There's a point of order.
Honourable Speaker, and I don't want to be disruptive, but consistently the Premier is misleading the House. Yet again on the issue of the crime stats, he misled the House. It's a lie. Murder rate increased by 3.9% in the second quarter.
All right, members.
Speaker, this is just too much. And I think if we want order in the House,
honourable members, there is a member on the floor.
If we want order in the House, we also need to make sure that proper facts are being articulated here. Thank you.
Honourable,
because the public is here. The public will not all be here tomorrow.
Honourable Syed, that is not a point of order. You can raise or you can dispute the facts as presented tomorrow during the debate. Honourable Premier. Honourable Premier, please continue.
Thank you very much. Honourable Syed, thank you for that detail, because I said the Western Cape 4,109 was 6.8%, but if you say it's 3.7%, I'll take that. I really will take it. Looks like we're doing even better in policing.
Honourable Premier, please take your seat. Members, there's a member on the floor. Honourable Syed, is that a point of order?
Yet again, this Premier is misleading the House, misleading the people of the Western Cape with his cheap spin. This is what he does all the time. That's why we have no leadership out there.
No.
It's cheap spin. I did not say that it has decreased, it has increased. But it's fine. Let him continue with his cheap spin. We'll expose him tomorrow.
Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, please take your seat. Honourable Syed, that is not a point of order. Can I please remind you that we are all honourable members in this House, and can you please address the Premier as such? Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, is that a point of order?
You have covered my point of order, which was relating to Rule 59, subsection 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Speaker. It's very hard not to react. So I'll read it again. The Western Cape, 4,109 murders, up by 6.8%. If he says it's up by 3.6%, I again will say, I will take that. It looks like we're doing much better than what these stats say. Speaker, I'm actually speaking about something that is really serious. I'm talking about the top table, the table where General Patekile sits. These are very serious allegations. So I'm now in the process of establishing a panel of eminent persons. This will include local South Africans, but also people from South America who have really dealt with
Honourable Premier, there's a point of order. Please take your seat. Honourable Syed, is that a new point of order?
Yes, it's a brand new point of order. The Honourable Mania, MEC of Education, instead of focusing on unplaced learners, is trying to have a conversation with me. He must listen to the Premier.
Speaker, don't allow you didn't allow him to speak. Let
I'm
him
not
sit.
responding to him, but he's having a conversation with me. Thank you.
Honourable Syed, that is not a point of order. Honourable members, can I please ask that you calm down, settle down, and honourable members, can I please ask that you calm down and settle down? Honourable Premier, over to you. Honourable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I'll say again. So what I'm doing is I'm putting together or establishing a panel of eminent persons. I've already spoken to people out of the EU who are prepared to serve on it. We found someone out of South America that deals with policing and gangs and success stories, but also local eminent persons to help us. The report that this team will put together will not be just for me. It will be for the President, the National Minister, and the National Commissioner, because we have to deal with this problem. We cannot have gangs involved in policing. What I'm also going to do is this province, in order to make sure that the top table, the generals, the top brass that sits alongside General Patekile, what this province is going to do is we are going to fund lifestyle audits for the top brass in this province. We need to make sure that policing is cleaned up so that we can deal with the crime levels of this province. Speaker, in 2022, the Violence Prevention Unit was established under the auspices of the Provincial Health and Wellness Department. The unit is equipped to identify and design interventions to prevent violent crime in our communities. I spoke about gender-based violence, and Minister Fernandes, taking the lead in our government, has produced a program, a list of adverts and TV adverts and radio adverts. This is a system where we are going to really try something new. Our data coming out of the Violence Prevention Unit tells us where the hotspots are, GIS mapped, where gender-based violence happens. We also know where, what time, who, age. So we've identified that men between the ages of 24 and 34 are more likely to be an abuser if they themselves were abused. We have to make sure that we break the cycle. And so I want to thank the department and the teams that have put together this program. And you know, I think about it a lot. And I want to say that I really welcome, with a broken heart, the conviction of the perpetrator for murder and rape of the 8-year-old Tasnie van Wyk. We need more convictions like this, but unfortunately, generally, we don't see them. Speaker, this new program called Stop the Cycle, it really does have a hard-hitting advert. And I want to thank Minister Fernandes and her team. I got to join them in one of the sessions with about 40 young men, where the advert was flighted, and we had a great conversation on how we end the cycle. This advert really shows you that a young boy growing up in a household of abuse often becomes the abuser in the next generation. We are finding platforms and mechanisms that men can get help, that we can break this cycle, that we need to talk about these things. Because if we do that, and I'm saying we're trying this, because we need to also try different things. Gender-based violence numbers in our country just keep going up and up and up, just like the murder numbers. But this province, again, is trying something new. I want to say to the partnership in Khayelitsha that we worked with in FAMSA, I want to say thank you very much. I want to say to Chuma Manka, thank you very much. I listened to you when you said we are killing this scourge at the root. And that is exactly what we are doing. We are finding ways to understand the causalities. That's what violence prevention is all about. Use the data and science, and our medical data and science is so useful in fighting crime. You use that data and science, and using that and coming up with innovative ways to try to tackle the scourge. I really look forward to the rolling out of more and more of those conversations and to monitor and see, is this something that is going to work? We need, the need, Speaker, for social services is sadly never ending. In a deeply unequal society, too many people fall through the cracks. That is why we are also making further investment into more social workers and more mental health workers in our province in the year to come. I also would like to use this opportunity to say, Speaker, thank you very much to not only our social workers and our frontline workers and our nurses and our mental health care workers. I also want to say thank you to our partners, those NGOs, those NPOs, those volunteers out there who are standing by our side, working day and night to be that safety net for our citizens, to help us catch those most vulnerable. We are under a lot of pressure, and I really value every single one of you in making the biggest difference that we can. Speaker, at our local governments, we need to ensure their stability, which has been a challenge amid load shedding and is critical in keeping our cities and towns functional and optimal. While we are tackling current challenges facing our local governments, we must also look at historical issues. Apartheid has left deep scars on many of our communities, still evident today. Our towns and cities sadly still reflect the divisions created by apartheid. And here, Speaker, I want to talk about the Regional Social Economic Project, the RCEP program. I'm not sure if all of you know about it. You might have seen the initial stages of the VPUU, which was a partnership between ourselves here, the City of Cape Town, and the KfW Development Bank. That project morphed into continual VPUU, but RCEP across the rest of our province. And in the RCEP space, Minister Bredell, thank you to you and your team for rolling this out across our local governments, where we are joining up and breaking those barriers, breaking those boundaries, and joining up communities. I also want to say that I took the opportunity when I was in Europe to go to the KfW Bank to say to them and the German government, thank you very much for the support. They have given us over 360 million rand over the last few years in helping with this project. We really appreciate our partners, and thank you very much to them. I want to thank Minister Bredell for leading the Western Cape's groundbreaking inclusionary housing policy framework that helps municipalities to facilitate and enhance inclusion and affordable homes in urban centres, bringing people closer to economic opportunities and services. The introduction of inclusionary housing is complex, and it involves numerous role players and stakeholders. It must, Speaker, incentivise and operationalise investments that give us the desired changes and outcomes. We can't do this alone. We must do this together. I'm looking forward to see how that policy starts to change the environment in which we live. Speaker, while talking about Minister Bredell, I also would like to say a big thank you through him to our dedicated professionals in the disaster management space. These are men and women who are out there day and night making sure we tackle fires and floods, water services during load shedding, moving generators around, dropping everything when a flood happens in KZN. They were the first to volunteer to go to Turkey. These are amazing men and women, and I want to say thank you very much to what they do in this province. Speaker, I will also say that the Disaster Management Centre was activated when we went into load shedding level 4 to 6, and that centre will remain on high alert for as long as the load shedding persists. Speaker, while thinking of disasters, I must reflect on our dam levels. I see they have now reached 50% capacity across our province. I want to encourage our citizens to start conserving water. We don't want another day zero scenario in our province. Municipalities must also enact their water conservation and restriction policies now. We need to make sure that we are making those decisions now before it is too late. This government will this year embark on a water resilience plan. Electricity and blackouts must not cause us to take our eye off the ball. We know that water is the next crisis unless we focus on it now. Speaker, I also want to reflect on good governance. South Africa is still feeling the impact of the dark decade under the cloud of state capture and corruption. In the Western Cape government, we consistently and doggedly push back against those who have enabled corruption. We have built a government people can trust based on our values. We make sure that whistleblowers are taken seriously and protected. I am very grateful to all of our staff for ensuring that in the 2021-22 financial year, 100% provincial government departments received an unqualified audit. Thank you very much, DG, and all of the HODs sitting here. We really value your dedication to getting the basics right. Speaker, when you get the basics right, you can then focus on the citizen. Speaker, while talking about the citizen, I want to say as a government that we are listening. Brian McGill says one of the sincerest forms of respect is actually listening to what others has to say, or what another has to say. Speaker, I personally have crisscrossed this province listening to people as we do the ministers, the HODs. We go and listen. I arrive at service delivery points unannounced because we don't want coffee and muffins. We don't want the place swept up. I want to arrive and go and sit in the queue along with the citizen, waiting for their service, experiencing what it is like to be a citizen receiving service from this government.
Well, someone doesn't get land. What do you do about that?
Speaker, for the upcoming financial year, I've lobbied the Provincial Treasury to fund a project that focuses on improving the customer service experience and the face of our government, that face that we present to our citizens. And through that listening program, we will identify those spaces that need to be worked on. We need to make sure that those waiting rooms, that frontline service gets better and better. People, Speaker, I've also met the most remarkable people. I've met them in Prince Albert, the PAC Youth Centre, people that are arranging a jazz festival this May. And any of you who haven't got your tickets yet, you better do it quickly. Not a big town. You don't want to drive hundreds of miles to get to that jazz festival. But what an amazing group of young people. In Langsburg, I visited our safe house for women and children. Amazing people there as well that dedicate their time to look after the most vulnerable in our systems. I've mentioned Mitchell's Plain. Mitchell's Plain walking with neighbourhood watchers. Mitchell's Plain walking with the LEAP officers. Also going to Bishop Lavis, to other areas of our hotspots, walking with the neighbourhood watchers, meeting with the police, meeting with our law enforcement and LEAP officers, making sure that I'm also listening as we grow and build out the safety plan. I was also in Matjiesfontein. There I met some workers producing mineral water. That was amazing to see, and to see how that water is sent around our country. Also thinking about Matjiesfontein, I also, along with Minister Wing, got to meet the team from NASA. That doesn't happen very often. But what are NASA doing here? They're investing in Matjiesfontein. And they've built an observatory there to monitor space as NASA puts further people on the moon and continues with some of their expansion programs. I've also visited places like Siki's Coffee in Khayelitsha, and Siki is here today. Here's an amazing entrepreneur. Visiting his coffee shop, listening to his stories, meeting people in his coffee shop that are on their laptops offering advisory services, linking on meetings to London. Really amazing. But then when I went a second time, suddenly there's a roastery, the business is growing. Now he's supplying roasted coffee beans to a whole lot of other coffee shops and businesses. But more than that, he's actually expanded his business very proudly as an entrepreneur and opened his second coffee shop in Claremont. Congratulations. Speaker, my team and I have listened to your ideas, suggestions, most importantly, your complaints at our First Thursdays. I mentioned the last First Thursday in Mitchell's Plain. The amazing thing for me was having a look at how an investment in our labs and using First Thursdays is creating its own energy. How amazing to walk down the street around a cul-de-sac and there's a grand piano with one of our musicians playing music. A garage turned into an open mic, or a string quartet, or food stalls, or art on the walls where buyers from Switzerland are buying art to take back home. Really amazing when you see an entrepreneur start something, other entrepreneurs come along. We must celebrate our entrepreneurs in our region. Speaker, I also want to talk about listening and connectivity, and that's our broadband connectivity. We are now at 1,366 Western Cape sites across this province. Across this province. I also want to say that I will not ignore our citizens' complaints. We must listen and learn from the issues that they raise with us. The reality is that we are not perfect, Speaker, but we constantly strive to working harder and doing better. As much as you, the citizen, are at the center of what we do, the Western Cape government's culture and values also occupy the center role in our work. We will continue to live these values in everything that we do so that we can give the impact to you, the citizen. We must inspire and aspire to be better as a government and better as a province. Speaker, the byline in the Washington Post is "Democracy dies in the darkness." I will not let our democracy flounder. Instead, my commitment to the residents of the Western Cape is that our democracy and our economy will flourish. We will continue to work with the fierce urgency of now. Many of our citizens are struggling and suffering. They look to us for help and action. You, the citizen, the people of this extraordinary province, are at the center of everything that we do, working today for tomorrow. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and the members of this Parliament, the role that you play. You need to make sure that we have clear oversight, specifically in this disaster that comes. I want to thank the ministers in each and every one of their portfolios, how they keep pushing the boundaries to do better and better for the citizens of our province. I would like to thank my family. I would like to thank them for the backup you give me even when I'm not there. I want to thank my office. You're not sitting here, but probably watching on that screen. Every single one of you. Thank you very much for the support that you give me. I want to thank the administration. None of this can happen without an administration. Dedicated, professional, and amazing citizens that go to work every single day to make the biggest difference that they and their departments can. Speaker, this government is citizen obsessed. We are obsessed with doing our best for the people to ensure all of our citizens can find the dignity and well-being that they deserve. By constantly innovating, we can improve and modernize the way we do what we do. We are working with an acute sense of urgency, given the challenges we need to overcome. We are honored by the faith and trust the people of the Western Cape have put in us, and it is my firm duty to be seized by the fierce urgency of now and deliver. Citizens of the Western Cape, as South Africa crumbles and breaks around us, I want to assure you that this government will continue to grow and build a better future for you. We are the Cape of Good Hope. We are the hope for South Africa, I think.
Order, members. Thank you very much. Order, members. Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Honourable members, in terms of Rule 15, Honourable Nkondlo, in terms of Rule 15 of the standing rules, the Premier's address will be placed on the order paper for debate. Members and guests are requested to remain standing in their places while the procession leaves the chamber. I also want to take this opportunity to invite all the guests and members to a lunch on after the adjournment of the House in the members' dining room area, which is on this floor. And just a reminder that Friday, the 17th of February, the proceedings will commence at 9:30. Honourable members, honourable guests, that concludes the business for the day. The House is adjourned.